Welcome to a bonus episode of Two Drunk Guys on a Football Podcast. I'm your host, Skinny Domestic. Marcus the Hammer Mary is not joining us today. With all the shorts that I've been posting of his face, he wants me to have some screen time by myself while he does his own thing. We'll have a new episode next week with updates and everything like that. We haven't really done anything with the draft. No mocks or anything like that. So we both decided that with the draft coming up, it's time to start getting some mock drafts out there. This one's going to be pretty simple. It's just going to be the first round. No trades for this one, just kind of going down the list. We'll do more mocks as we get closer. Potential trades. I mean, clearly this draft order may even be changed by the time that even happens. I'll be doing my own here on the screen, and then I have Marcus's over here, and we'll kind of compare to see what he has, and then just kind of go from there type thing. We'll see how this goes. I've done a couple, but I haven't really sold on anything, so we'll just enter the draft in here. Clearly, with everything that's kind of been going on, we definitely seems like everybody knows at this point who the number one draft pick is going to be. So we'll just start it. This is easy. We're gonna go Caleb Williams. So get that on the board here. Pick number one, Caleb Williams. So this is where the question marks start to come in terms of the Commanders, Patriots. Who are they gonna take? Do either of one of them trade back potentially? Commanders not so much. I don't think in terms of trading back, just because they do have 5 draft picks in the first 3 rounds. It's more of the Patriots, I guess. So for me, with everything that's kind of going on, I feel like Drake May is going to be their draft pick at quarterback. Marcus has them taking Jaden Daniels, which I respect. Either or, it'll be interesting to see. But I feel like Drake May is kind of leading that. I know Jalen Daniels is highly thought to go in the top 3 here, so really it's just whoever. And then this is where the Patriots have some room, because if they wanted to, they could trade back. They have Zappy. They could trade back, get some more draft picks, draft stock, and then still get a decent quarterback. I mean, you got 4 guys still on the board that potentially, you could go get. In this case, I'm going to go the easy route with no trades. I'm going to take Jaden Daniels for the Patriots. I think he's a good dual threat quarterback, something different for the Patriots organization, especially with having a new head coach, new culture a little bit going on there. Do something that we haven't really seen with the Patriots organization in a while with a dual threat quarterback. I know they had Cam for that one season, but it was older Cam. Do something different for long term here, hopefully. Here, just because I know Marcus did this on purpose, just because he knows he doesn't want the Vikings to take him, but he has J.J. McCarthy going to the Patriots, which I could see that too. I know he's one of those guys that has climbed draft boards and is projected to go top 5. But again, we're not doing trades, so we're just gonna keep that there. Pretty much at this point, I feel like no other team is going to draft a wide receiver, and I know Malik Neighbors has been on the rise. Really, it's a preference. I don't know what the Cardinals are preferring, but I think the better draft choice at 4 here would be Marvin Harrison Jr. I do think Malik Neighbors could go there. It's just really the preference for them. Marcus at 4 has Marvin Harrison Jr. going to the Cardinals too, so we can at least agree on that. We got 1 and 4 the same so far. Now this is where it gets interesting, because a lot of people think the Chargers will trade back with their situation. They don't need a quarterback. You have 2 of your wide receivers leave, so you definitely could use a wide receiver, but with how deep the wide receiver class is, If they trade back, I know a common one that's going is the Vikings trade up. I personally don't think the Vikings should trade up to grab a quarterback here. They could, then possibly could. You got to make JJ happy, and then they go and draft, JJ McCarthy that they're everybody's high on and thinks that will get drafted here. But for this case, again, since we're not doing trades, I'm going to go for what they truly need, and they need a receiver. Quentin Johnston has not been what we thought he would be, at least with this rookie year. And you have a franchise quarterback, unless you're going to trade the franchise quarterback or do something different. I feel like you need to get a wide receiver that's going to be a number one. I know with Harbaugh, they're more of a power run and everything like that, but no matter what team you're on, and they could wait to get a running back at a later time. They do have 37. You could go get somebody there. I just feel like the state of nature without any trades, you need to get a number one receiver for your franchise quarterback, and that's Malik Neighbors. Again, it could go either way. If Cardinals take Neighbors, then Marvin Harrison Jr., those type of things. The Giants, this is a tough one too. What do you think they're going to go with? They got that terrible contract with Daniel Jones, so you either get rid of him, you keep him. Do you draft a quarterback here? Sorry, real quick. Marcus also had Malik Neighbors going to the Chargers. 5. Do you draft a quarterback here to replace him? You're kind of stuck in the air there. I think with the Giants, they also have, later on picks. They could go get Spencer Rattler has climbed up. He would be a guy that he could go get it. What pick do they have? Pick 70. They could go get him around pick 70, which wouldn't be bad at that point. I think Rattler does have a lot of potential. But for me, so Marcus has the Giants drafting Drake May. And to me, I feel like the Giants aren't going to take a quarterback with this spot. I think one of their defensive line's good. They need a true number one wide receiver. They need an offense. Their offensive line's young, can be better. One reason why I think Saquon left is, again, for the better offensive line. You can't go wrong with taking Joe Alt here. They have a lot going on. So no trades. Not going to take a quarterback. I'm going to go here, and they're going to take a wide receiver because, again, none of their wide receivers has been panning out. Jalen Hyatt showed some decent stuff. But we're going to draft Rome Odunze for the Giants. They'll figure out their quarterback situation after that. For the Titans, for me, even no matter what, I think if Joe Alt's here, the Titans are going to take Joe Alt, protect their quarterback. You got your 2 receivers. I know it says they need a receiver, but you have Hopkins. You signed Ridley. At this point, you need to build that line, build Levis. You're building around him. You're going to draft Joe Alt. All right, so the Falcons, they really need defense. You got Kirk Cousins. You have a lot of offense. You could go tackle here to protect Kirk. Kirk's played behind some bad lines. I think with how deep this draft is, you can get that later. They got 3 other picks in the third, within the first 3 rounds, besides this one. So to me, I think you're going to go and hit the defensive side of things, and one of the big things you could go and get a DB that goes opposite side of Terrell, or you get pass rush, which I think is what they're going to end up doing here, and based off of out of the best board here, I think Dallas Turner is the way to go for them. So with the Bears. Here, they could trade back if you wanted to. You got your quarterback. You have 2 wide receivers. You could make it real difficult and get a 3rd wide receiver here, but there's no point to do that. And then you could go D-line, go defensive side of things. I think here the Bears really could be trading back. This is uh, where you trade back, maybe get some more picks out of this, just because, again, with the situation where they're at, some of these guys, depending on what's there for quarterback, hold on, at quarterback, if maybe one of these four teams is starting to be like, okay, needs a quarterback, or I guess three teams need a quarterback, need a quarterback, need a quarterback. If one of these three teams starting to get a little pushy with, who do they want? Who do they want to make sure they get their guy? Maybe they try trading up a couple spots just so, if the Broncos want J.J. McCarthy over the Vikings or, those type of things. But here again, we're not going to trade. So I'm going to go defensive side of the ball. They have Jalen Johnson at DB. And I think one of the things that they need to address is the DB position to help with everything. Or the interior. So for me, I valued. You know what? We're gonna go D-line. I like D-line more for them. Get a big guy up front, Byron Murphy, out of Texas. Here, the Jets, Rodgers, hopefully healthy. I know they've been trying to trade for a wide receiver, or it's been in talks that they're going to trade for a wide receiver. It could definitely go. They're a really good team defensively. I think one of the things they lacked is pass catcher ability. For the team, I guess, with Rodgers now too. One thing, not pass catcher ability, the tight end position specifically. So I think here, if Brock Bowers is available, the Jets take him. It just makes sense. Also, I guess I'm not doing Marcus's picks. I'm sorry, guys. 8, he had Dallas Turner going, like myself. At 9, he had the Bears taking Terrion Arnold at DB. And then 10, he had Joe Alt dropping all the way down to the Jets. Another thing the Jets could have done is they could have taken an offensive lineman, but I feel like, again, how deep it is, they could wait for that. Pick number 72 or even later. And I know some of their guys, they just signed a couple guys and should be better off at that point. So here we have the Vikings. They have picks 11, and then they have the 23, which I don't think the Vikings should trade anyway, no matter what. I think they're in a good spot at 11 and 23 to draft both two positions they need and try instead of trying to trade up and get a quarterback. I personally am not a big fan for some of those top quarterbacks. I think Penix and Bo Nix are more draft ready. Marcus likes Bo Nix for the Vikings. He has the Vikings taking Bo Nix at this spot. I think you can wait for that, because I don't think the Broncos or Raiders would take him yet. If they do take a quarterback, one's taking J.J. McCarthy, the other one's going to take Penix. I also think the Raiders are going to wait to take a quarterback until later and trade up. So if anybody, it might be the Broncos taking a quarterback. But, they have Old Camp, Cortland Sutton. They just traded Judy. They have young Marvin Mims that wasn't really utilized. See if they utilize him more. Could go to the wide receiver. Could, again, beef up that defense, get somebody opposite of Pat Surtain. But going back to the Vikings, I think the Vikings go and take a DB here. That's one of the positions that they were a little weaker at, and they definitely need it. And I think this is where they would take Cooper DeJean, highly rated guy out of Iowa, and it's something that they need. Clearly, at 12, this is again no trades. I have the Broncos taking J.J. McCarthy. Reliable, going and getting. Raiders here, I think they hold off on a quarterback because, again, I think later down the road they'll trade up back into the first round and get a quarterback. So here you're going to address your secondary. That was a really big thing for them. or you could adjust their offensive line. But their front four on their defense is stellar. Get to the pass rush. It's that back end that they really need to touch. So for me, Quinyon Mitchell or Nate Wiggins, you could really go with here. Terrion Arnold could go. I think they go with Quinyon Mitchell. Get him. Get a DB. Get a guy that can cover for you, and allow enough time for that front four. Max Crosby. They have. That's he's been stellar. I'm sorry, just drawing a blank on Max Crosby. He's been stellar, and the other three guys, Wilkins, and then guy that they just drafted last year. I can't think of his. Tyree Smith. Tyree Wilson. Sorry, Tyree Wilson. They just drafted him. Think he'll have a better year this year. Get a guy that they can have there. So the Saints are a tough one too. You still have Derek Carr. You're potentially losing Michael Thomas. You have a lot of young receivers. You did sign Chase Young. You have Cam Jordan. You could go interior defense here, but I think one of the things that they need most is an offensive tackle. It was bad last year. Derek Carr, or I guess not even Derek Carr, but whoever was at quarterback was not getting enough time. A lot of times it was just bad. I think you need to beef up that offensive tackle position. You can't go wrong with any of these three right here. But I do think Ulamaya Fashanu is going to go ahead of them over Fuaga and Fatunu. Draft him for the Saints. Colts, they got their quarterback. They got Pittman for a long-term deal. Need a receiver. Need defensive end. So you just... Again, receiver's so deep, I feel like you can just wait on that into later rounds. Also... Vikings took Bo Nix. Broncos. Marcus has the Broncos taking Michael Penix Jr. Raiders taking Brock Bowers. Saints taking Fashanu. So I agree with him on that one. Colts, he has taken Quinyon Mitchell. I do think they go DB route, and I think they do take Nate Wiggins. Seahawks. Let's see here. Marcus has the Seahawks taking Fuaga, the offensive tackle. Seahawks, yeah, their offensive line has not been great. I do think they go offensive line here too. Need more of an interior guy. I think the Jackson Powers Johnson would be a little too high for him at this point, but I could see them doing it just because they need that. But guys like Fuaga and Fortuna, you could go and put in the guard spot if you needed to, or slide somebody over. Linebacker and safety, I think it's just still too early to take either of those two. You're getting potentially later round, a little bit later. So for me, I'm gonna go and take Fuaga. I'll agree with Marcus on that one too. Okay, Jaguars. Wide receivers, good. You got your quarterback. Really, their offensive line was probably their worst thing last year. Could go DB. I think at this point you got to go DB and get that defensive pass rush some help. So we're gonna go Terrion Arnold for the Jaguars here. Marcus took Jared Verse. That was a good one too. I could see that. Go opposite of Josh Allen, get a good pass rush there. Here, the Bengals. Been leading a couple ways for the Bengals here. I do think that their defensive line, you need that big guy in the defensive line. But you also want to protect Joe Burrow, which never mind. They don't need a tackle. They just signed. They got two big tackles now, two big boys. They got Trent Pound. So we're going to go defensive as of today. So I guess we'll go defensive interior here with Newton. I believe that's the one that I want to go with. Yeah. Yeah, we'll go Newton here. Here for the Bengals, Marcus took J.C. Latham, tackle. Not a bad pick at all. For the Rams, you got Matthew Stafford. I think your offense with Matthew Stafford, you got Kupp and Nakua. You're kind of set on the offensive side for the most part. I think the thing that affected them mostly was defense. You did just lose Aaron Donald for a pass rush and run stopper, so I think you definitely are going to go defensive here. I think with how well Jared Verse showed up in the combine and performed, I think they're going to go and take him. And Marcus for the Rams took a edge, Latu, so both took an edge there. I think he has the I think Virus after that combine really upgraded and showed he could, be there. Steelers is another good one. I think if Jackson Powers Johnson is available for the Steelers, you got Russ. You want to make sure your line's good. I think they're going to go get him in the middle. Good position for him. Here, Marcus has the Steelers taking Nate Wiggins at DB. Now the Dolphins. Do you want to protect Tua? Do you want to, you got your wide receivers. You may need a tight end. Clearly, this is something that they may be like, all right, we really want Brock Bowers. We'll trade up for Brock Bowers. I don't think they'll do that, but they could. Especially if, he falls in type thing. I don't know. But here, I think they're going to take their offensive line and protect Tua and continue to protect him because after, 2 years ago, big issue there. I think they're going to lean more towards J.C. Latham over Fatanu. So they'll take him there. And then for me, the Eagles, I know we need linebacker. I know we need DB. I know we need a third wide receiver. But with with how the drafts have gone and what the Eagles live for and produce or value, and we've always had a good offensive line. And I think with Lane Johnson getting older, and that's a fundamental to our offense, I think at this, again, wide receivers deep. We just signed Devin White at linebacker. We can get a DB later with our other picks. I think we go and take. We're going to keep the trend going. Amarius Mims out of Georgia. We're going to be again the Philadelphia Bulldogs. I think we just continue to take a tackle there. It's too good to pass up. Here the Vikings are back on the clock. So Marcus had the Dolphins taking Byron Murphy D-line, and then he had the Eagles taking Brian Thompson Jr. wide receiver, which I would love to see that with Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown, but I think they continue to just beef up that offensive line. Here, the Vikings are going to go with their quarterback, and I believe they're going to take Bo Nix. Well, they should. I think Bo Nix is the most ready quarterback out of all of them, really, for the NFL. I know Caleb Williams has his ups and downs. I like Bo Nix a lot more as a NFL draft prospect than all of them. And here, Marcus has the Vikings taking Cooper DeJean at DB. So I pretty much flipped the picks that he thought, and still got two good players, same players that he thought. Cowboys are up. I think here the Cowboys are going to take an offensive lineman. They're another team that values a good offensive line. Fatanu's been falling. This is where they're going to go and take him. Marcus had the Cowboys taking a Donnie Mitchell, wide receiver. Again, not a bad choice there. Let's see here. The Packers, I think they're going to take an offensive lineman also. I know they need a safety and need some other positions, but with losing some people, they're going to go offensive line and take Graham Barton, which he can play tackle, he can play interior, whatever you need him to do, he can be anywhere on that line for you. Marcus had the Packers taking Amarius Mims, so offensive line there. Buccaneers at 26. Here, Graham Barton or Powers Johnson would be a good one, just because they lost their center. Need somebody to come in there, but I think they really need to go back to their roots on their defense. They lost Shaq Barrett. They need some pass rush, so they're gonna go take Leatu Latu. And here Marcus has the Bucks taking Jackson Powers. So again, another solid one here. Let's see here. Back to the Cardinals. So we drafted the Cardinals, their wide receiver one. Here you need defensive line, you need DB, could go offensive line. Let's see what's available. 1 second here. So Kool-Aid, guy that I think could be taken here. I don't think they take Braden Fisk yet. Doesn't go. What's going on with Edge? See, Chop Robinson, I think, is going to be valued a lot higher. But for me, I feel like they need to go get that DB. They're going to go Kool-Aid. Marcus had the Cardinals taking Kool-Aid also. Bills, I think at this point, with your losing Gabe Davis, you have no question what's going to happen to Stephon Diggs. I think they're going to continue a trend, and they're going to get Brian Thompson Jr. and give Josh Allen just another weapon. Way too good to pass up on that. All right, and then the Lions could go defense here, or could go offense here, and make that, they're a very run-heavy team, want to beat you in the trenches. Could go and pick up Zach Frazier on a reach here, but you also need that defensive side too. And to me, with kind of how everything went, this is a tough position. You could trade back because everything that you kind of want, is a little further down in terms of like DBs. Don't really need it. Gardner Johnson just left. Since he left, I guess I'll go Tyler Newman, replace him. I know you have Brian Branch too, but again, trading is not an option for this one right now. Now the Ravens, you have Zay Flowers, you have Mark Andrews, Isaiah Likely. Rashad Bateman hasn't lived up to the hype. Devin Duvernay's gone. I think this is where they're going to come in and grab a wide receiver with all that's there. And they need some size. Yeah. So they need some size, and Adonai Mitchell is 6'4". They need a big guy, big receiver. Here Marcus at the Lions, or they had the Bills taking Chop Robinson, the Lions taking Zerzan Newton, and the Ravens taking Xavier Worthy, which I respect with that speed. Um, 49ers need defensive back or tackle. I think here they're going to continue to bulk that lineup, protect Purdy. You got the offensive weapons. You live to run the ball. Go and get Tyler Guyton. And then, to me, I believe that the Chiefs are going to go and get a wide receiver. I know you signed Hollywood. You have Rashid Rice. But I think you're going to go and add some speed, potentially. You could go D-line, too. Marcus has the Chiefs drafting Tyler Guyton. For me, man, this is a tough one. Again, they could trade back here too. I think they want more of a speed guy, and I really think the best speed guy out of all of them is Xavier Worthy. I know PFF isn't good with their rankings compared to some other places, because after what Xavier Worthy did, I know he's up higher. I think they go and take Xavier Worthy at that 32 spot. So this is no trades. The no trades makes it difficult because I've been leaning more towards teams trading and doing some mocks with that just to kind of see and feel it out. I do think like the Patriots potentially do trade back, Chargers trade back, the Bears potentially trade that number 9 spot back, and then the Broncos, Raiders, Vikings all look to trade up because they want to beat a team to get their quarterback. Do I think that the Vikings should trade back? No, but I do. And then like the Lions, 49ers, Chiefs, all in those last rounds, I do think they can trade back to where, maybe I think the Raiders. Sorry, I think like maybe the Raiders take their second and trade into the first again, and that's where they draft Penix. So we'll be doing a trade. I think the trade one will go a lot better because this one I haven't really thought about, and it makes it harder because with the trades you don't think some of these guys are going to be picking, and things are going to be a little bit different. I do think maybe some of these guys don't get drafted in the first round because of that. But yeah, I think this is a good no trade mock draft. The best I could really think of if there's no trades to happen, but I do believe there's going to be plenty of trades that we're going to look at down the road and even before the draft that may even happen. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you next week on the official next episode of Offseason Fun with Skinny and the Hammer.